And again, check. Is this a position where your pelvis is free to shift, to move? And when you do move your pelvis, really notice what direction do you take it in to check out if it can move. And maybe that's got something to do with where your head likes to go. Some of you like to go side to side. Some of you like to go forward, back. Okay. So finding a position. So could you let your head drop down and just see how you go with whatever this means for you in your sensory motor experience. Could you allow your head to just stay as passive as possible and your eyes to be as passive as possible? So your eyes are really soft in the sockets, your head's passive, and you're going to begin to use your pelvis to initiate this movement of making a head circle. So you're finding a way to move your head from your pelvis. So your head is really sort of going to get carried along for the ride. And you can slowly build up that circle. And it's nearly like you're making a circle with the bottom of your pelvis on the floor. So don't make your head go anywhere in particular. What you're searching for here is in this position where, if I'm leading the movement with my pelvis, where can my head go? And be really clear that your head is passive. Your eyes are passive. And again, it's an easy thing for me to say, but what does that mean for your eyes to be passive? Usually much easier, I think most of you have found, when your eyes are closed, to allow your eyes to be more passive. And then keep your pelvis in your image, that it's sort of still the initiator of the movement. But at the same time, the middle of you is initiating with your pelvis. So there's something through this middle part of you that you're feeling as soon as your pelvis starts to move. That part absolutely mobilizes at the same time as your pelvis. And again, whatever that means for you at the moment in your sensory motor experience. So just including a little bit more of your middle. As you go on, you can think of initiating from your middle. And that your pelvis is more responding to your middle. And how does your head move then? How does your head get carried around passively on this journey. And just notice whenever you get lost. And just pause whenever you get lost, whenever you go, oh, I don't know where my head is anymore. Just pause. So again, this isn't about doing, you don't have to do a complete circle. You might be just doing an arc of a circle. And pause again. Okay, next one, initiate from your pelvis again. Find the middle of you in your sensation, not in your thinking. And then could you add this area through your first rib? Yeah. Yeah. So the base of your neck coming around to the top of your sternum. Through the first rib, your shoulder girdle sits on top of it. And so you start with your pelvis and you just gradually in your sensory motor experience go, what's happening in that area? What's it doing? Head still passive. How does it respond to the movement of my pelvis? And really trying to stay within the arc of the circle where you can feel there's an absolute connection between your pelvis and this area at the top of your chest. And as soon as you lose one or the other, stop. I don't want you all getting vestibular. Yeah, just go slow. And then gradually as you do it, could you begin in the range that's easy to initiate the movement from that area? So your head's still absolutely passive. And it doesn't have to be a full circle. You're really just finding, how does this part of me understand all of these planes of up and down, left and right, forward and back, turning. Have a rest. Have a lie down if you'd like. So this freedom of the head is absolutely dependent on us really understanding all these planes of movement throughout our whole self. Okay, up you come again. So it's a little bit like, you know, the pelvic clock when you were doing that way back. What would it have been? Segment 3, I think. And we sort of built the pelvic clock up in all these different positions until your head could follow it and go in different directions, and the head and pelvis could follow each other, they could go opposite each other. So it's the same thing, it's just a much more dynamic, if you like, position we're doing it in. So now, could your head lead circle. So the rest of you is still going to be there, maybe not in as big a way, but can you get some real clarity on it's my head now is the active? And really pause every now and then and just go, oh, is it my head that I'm leading with here? Or is my middle back taken over? Or is my pelvis taken over? And some of you might find something interesting if your head becomes the leader. Okay, pause for a moment. And just think about this a moment before you do it. When you were doing that head movement, and you might be able to imagine it or visualize, what were your eyes doing? There's lots of things they could do. No? What were your eyes doing? Did they feel that they were just sort of maybe following along for the ride would be one thing that they might do? Another one is that your eyes and head might have been tracking exactly together, which was more that one that Arlene had us doing, where the head and the eyes were tracking together when you were tracking with your finger through space. No? Or maybe your eyes are just going all over the place. No? They're not sure where your head is in space. Maybe your eyes are trying to lead. So do it again, letting your head be the leader. And this time just have a little bit of soft attention. What are my eyes doing? What are my eyes doing? And really, another little bit of attention that you can just bring a little bit to the foreground as you're doing it. How's your weight shifting? Especially left and right. So when your head goes over to the right, which sit bone do you go to? When your head goes over to the left, which sit bone do you go to? And pause again. So I'm interested, what did people feel their eyes were doing? So yours were following along behind, so your head was the leader and the eyes were just sort of following along behind? Yeah? Do you know what they're doing is more what I'm asking. Mm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it changes throughout the trajectory of the movement. That's great. Yeah, Amanda. Yeah. They sort of went. Yeah? Mm. So it was, and it's interesting, it's as you said, it's in a more not as clear pathway for you that all of a sudden you start to get this dissonance between your head and your eyes. Madhavi. Mm. Right's dominating the left. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. That's nice. So you could really feel a difference between your two eyes and how they were tracking. Yeah, Martina. Moving your eyes. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. So if you let the head and the eyes more track together through space. Yeah, yeah, Simon. With your eyes. Yep. Mm. Mm. Be really interested in when you're thinking in ATMs what your eyes are doing. Huh? Did you want to say something, Danielle?
Yeah, just my eyes seem to have their own
Mm-hmm. 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 Any other experiences? Yeah, Glenn. It's really good to hear all these.
Before you said anything, my eyes and head were tracking. Then you said what your eyes were doing, suddenly I had. Now my eyes had to leave. It's kind of like trying to keep up with, just changed the whole way my head moved.
What, did anything happen to the speed once your eyes took over?
The speed didn't change so much as the way I started to this. It's hard to explain, just the turn completely changed.
It can, believe me, it can. Margaret, did you?
my eyes were doing that tracking and they were strong and I could feel it. My eyes told me that the other parts dropped out.
Mm-hmm.
The other parts dropped out and chain of information and they would stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that there really, so sometimes the eyes will just stop, like some of you have described. It's just like, huh? Some you'll feel that the eyes will be searching for something instead. I don't know where I am, can't find where I am.
That's where I started to, if I had 6 months, be able to actually find that flow of movement. My pelvic circle, my head circle, the movement in the middle of my eyes were just
It's nice. Silvana. You're trying to get orientated. All these different ways we have of trying to get orientated. Okay, back you go. This time, could you let your eyes lead the circle? So now your head's more passive. Huh? Go slowly. So you've got to imagine a big circle around yourself, that your eyes, and again, what you're really looking for is when Do my eyes get lost, maybe? Does my head get lost at that point? And how easy is it for you to sense my eyes are leading? My head is passive. My head's getting asked along for the ride by my eyes. And what happens to your weight shift when your eyes are leading? What happens to the weight shift? When does your weight go to the right? When does it go to the left? Okay, so now keep going. Let your, just as Madhavi discovered, let one eye lead. You decide which side. Let one eye be making the circle. Of course, the other one will go with you. And just see what happens to your weight shift if one eye leads the movement. What happens to your weight shift? If you're mainly interested in one eye, this is great to watch. It's beautiful. And it's also really clear, those of you who don't know how to lead with your eyes, because you can see what's happening in your pelvis and and then the other eye. And again, don't make it happen. Let's pick a size of circle where you know that you can track with your eye. It's your eye leading. It's your eye leading. And does anything happen to your weight shift when this eye leads? Okay, have a rest. Roll your head a little bit side to side. How does that feel at the moment? After doing those eye circles of taking you somewhere in space. Can you remember, I think it was probably back in segment 2, we talked about this, movement of the eyes and the head. When we were doing all those eye movements. And can you remember which, if you wanted to move quickly to look behind you, what would you do? Can you remember? What did you discover? What would lead the movement, your eyes or your head? So as you're rolling your head there at the moment, really allow your eyes to lead the movement to the left, to lead the movement back to the right. And what do the eyes do when they get to the midline? What do they do? So is your pattern that when you go to the right, your right eye leads, and you keep using your right eye to turn you to the left, so that your right eye likes to be the leader? Maybe your pattern is the left eye tends to be the leader. And that maybe there's a particular point as you turn to the left or the right where you can feel the other eye just begins to take over. So our eyes can't scan just because of the shape of our eye sockets, where they are in our face. If we really want our eyes to be free, we can't keep looking with both eyes. It's not how we do it. This wonderful binocular vision that we've got, we take one eye and then the other eye often catches up, and then we calibrate where our 3D is, where the distance is. And I'll just suggest to you that maybe there's a connection between how well you know your midline and where your eyes take over the turning. So where it makes sense for the left eye to lead a little bit more, and when it makes sense for the right eye to lead a little bit more. They're both still there, they're both in the picture. And that sometimes we want to scan with both, but it's a different organisation and it's a different function. Now let your head lead the movement. So now that we've taken you out of having to support yourself in gravity, and simply notice, what do your eyes do? So now your head's being the active component. And really feel, you might begin to be able to sense as you really allow your head to be the active and the eyes to go, to just follow along, do whatever they need. They don't even have to follow in the same direction. What simply would your eyes do? Could you find a way of rolling your head like this, where it would somehow make sense that as you rolled your head to the right, that your eyes would roll a little bit to the left, but not in making them do it, not in making them head to the right, oh, now my eyes have to go to the left, but just somehow that you could separate a little bit this movement of your head and your eyes. The eyes could sort of have a bit of a life of their own. And can you begin to feel that to get this, for the eyes to go in the opposite, or just go off on their own, it's not a big neck movement, it's not a big movement of your head. And then maybe you could begin to feel that your eyes could a little bit stay even in the center. So they're not fixing, they're not fixed in the center, but that you could just roll your head a little bit faster. And just feel the eyes don't have to stay static in the middle, but what would your eyes do if you just speeded up the movement of your head? If you had a really healthy system, how would your eyes move to keep you oriented? And just feel, do they want to fixate? How can you just let them be? So that this wonderful ocular vestibular reflex that we have, that allows us to calibrate, that our eyes can be doing one thing, our head can be doing the other, and we can stay oriented. But feel how soft your eyes need to be to do that. They can't be grabbing for information. They can't be looking to see something. So this is a little bit, again, this inclusive awareness that we're looking for, where nothing really has any more value than anything else. So my eyes are soft. Maybe now as you rolled your head a little bit left and right, you could use your eyes very softly, that you could begin to scan through you a little bit. And that they don't have to pull the head because they're so soft. They're just doing these little movements in the socket, up and down, or left and right, or on a little diagonal. And if that's a bit confusing with your head moving, you can keep your head still, but not fixed. Maybe you could begin to sense those in that wonderful scanning lesson that Margaret taught on Tuesday, that as you were sensing these lines, remember she had us doing parallel lines going through our eyes, down through one side of us, through our face. Can you feel what your eyes would be doing? How's this movement, this soft movement of your eyes separate to your head? What's this got to do with helping us to measure distance? Maybe you can feel, if you thought of the two lines in your lower leg, those cardinal lines, one coming up from your right foot to your right hip, your left foot to your left hip. That if your eyes can be a little bit separate and diverge, like we did in much earlier ATMs, that one eye could scan one leg and one eye could scan the other, lightly and easily. One eye could scan your left arm as the other one scanned the length of your right arm. This softness in your eyes, in your head. And then if you think of the central line going through your torso, from your bottom of your tail up to the top of your head, what do your eyes do then to find your central line? But again, how do we find this ability to use the eyes in this way to help us scan, to help us fill in this rich sensory world inside of us? And we find it when we can allow our head to be more free. When we're finding this space of quiet, calm, okay. Keeping as much as you can of this sense now of the freedom in your eyes, the freedom in your head, your breathing. Could you bring yourself up to sitting again? Bringing all of yourself to sitting. And then very gently go back into your head circle position again. And keeping this sense of quality that you have at the moment, this is now foreground in your attention. This feeling of all of yourself, your soft eyes, your soft throat and belly. Feel where you are on your pelvis now. How is it that for some of us, finding this, we're better supported? Huh? We're better supported. Something's happened by allowing more differentiation, finding more inclusive attention, that our anti-gravity response is a little bit easier. And now just think of your head circles again. Just feel, how are they now? Is there any more freedom in your neck, in your throat? Do you have to do as big a movement now? Really finding, but it's still connected to your pelvis. Pelvis is still doing a little bit. Knows where your head wants to go. And then a few times, if you haven't, lead with your eyes. Again, doesn't need to be a big circle. But just that you can think, oh, I'm just looking out to the right and down and over to the left. And how smoothly your eyes can move. And so one of the things you'll notice, as soon as you find an area where your eyes start to go did-it-it, did-it-it, that they lose that smoothness, your head doesn't know how to go there. And if your head doesn't know how to go there, the rest of you doesn't know how to go there. It's just still a little bit more unknown territory. Not good or bad, but just somewhere, like I was saying with the man this morning with the callus on his foot. It's just not there yet. Okay, come up to standing. And let's see if anything's happened to the calluses on your foot after that. This is what we do in Feldenkrais. We're always coming from a roundabout way. We're connecting more and more things together. And just notice the contact on your feet. Something softened there or evened out a little bit. Have a bit of a walk around. And we'll take a bit of a break and then we'll come back into your groups again. Really let yourself feel this, sense it.